spring for the people of northern France, a race that is more about being tough than being fast. Frenchman Laurent Fignon, Canadians Steve Bauer and others ride as we report on the race called Paris Roubaix.
It's the most prestigious event in cycling, and our coverage will begin on June 30th and conclude in Paris on July the 22nd. Today we begin our cycling coverage with a report on the Paris Roubaix bicycle race, which has traveled across the roads of northern France since 1896. For a report, here's Sam Posey and the newest member of our ABC Sports announcing team, Beth Ruyak.
I don't know if anyone can really like it, you know. I suppose if you win it, you'll love it, you know, because it's such a prestigious and such a difficult race to win. And that's what I'm aiming to do. You know, I'm setting my goals high, but to finish is an accomplishment.
The challenge, to survive the cobblestones which give the race its character. Hello, I'm Sam Posey here in Compiègne, France. Behind me is the Place du Palais, where the riders are gathering for the start. This race, which lasts just one day, is very different in its basic nature from the Tour de France, which lasts 3 weeks. In fact, many of the riders with which we are familiar in the Tour, men like Pedro Delgado, Stephen Roche, Andy Hampsten, are not even entered here today. But like the Tour, this race is very much the premier event of its type. Now, covering the event with me today will be the newest member of our ABC team, which will be bringing you the Tour de France this summer, Beth Ruyak. Beth, welcome.
Thanks, Sam. We're going to keep our eye on the Belgian riders today, who in Paris Roubaix history have won the most and really consider this their race. We're also looking for a great ride by the Italians, who already this spring have won 2 one-day classics. If there's an individual heavyweight, it certainly has to be Laurent Fignon, who's never won this race but desperately wants to, especially after his devastating Tour de France loss last summer to Greg LeMond. And what about LeMond? Well, he is pulled out of this race and the other classics this spring. He's fighting a virus, and his doctor says part of the prescription is to get off the bike. So LeMond and his family headed back to America. For Greg, no interviews and no racing until the end of April. Kathy LeMond told us why.
The team said, this is ridiculous. We can't race him when he's sick and have the public think that he's not trying. They have to understand that he is sick, and let's just get him out of here.
So with Greg LeMond back in the States, 186 riders from 24 teams begin the ride north from Compiègne in chilly spring weather. It is a race through an area where thousands of soldiers suffered and died during the world wars, and the length and punishing nature of the event is a symbol for that suffering. The route stretches 165 miles to the Belgian border, and it has remained fundamentally unchanged since the race was first held in 1896. It runs through anonymous towns and villages, reaching the first cobblestone section 65 miles into the race. The favorites have yet to make a break from the pack as the beating of the cobblestones begins. The cobbles are impartial. Journeymen and stars like Laurent Fignon are treated just the same. It's 10 miles before the finish when 3 men take charge of the race. Steve Bauer, he was LeMond's teammate when Greg won the Tour in '86. Edwig van Hooydonk, a young Belgian, and his countryman, Eddie Plankert, from a family of cycling champions. Their goal for over 20 years has been to win this race. Laurent Fignon, the favorite in the race, but this will not be his day, and he is left to suffer alone on the cobblestones. Almost 8 hours after the race began, the leaders sweep into the velodrome. Bauer leads Plankert and van Hooydonk, with the finish just over a lap and a quarter away. They are joined by Frenchman Marcel Gaillant and last year's winner Jean-Marie Vampers, wearing red and yellow. Vampers exchanges a glance with teammate Plankert and quickly positions himself in front of Plankert and begins to pull him along. Vampers, aware that he doesn't have the strength for a sprint himself, tries to set up Plankert for the win. Van Hooydonk goes high, planning a run down the banking. Bauer thinks of it, but pulls back, waiting instead for the inexperienced Van Hooydonk. Bauer, beginning his charge, swept along by the Belgian. Plankert momentarily drafts Van Hooydonk and Bauer, but is forced to go wide around them both as he and Bauer begin their sprints over the final 50 meters.
Bauer Bauer looks at Plankert, unsure who has won the race. In fact, only a photo would tell for sure. For the moment, Bauer can only hope. What does this mean to you, Steve?
Well, it means like I'm confirming that what I've always thought, you know, this is a race that I can win, and I just hope the photo goes in my favor.
While Steve Bauer waits, his 7-Eleven team director views the photo. He sees that Eddie Plankert has won. Are you convinced, Noel?
Yeah, you can see it. You can see the difference. It's, Bono is on the line, and you can see it's...
How close?
Let's say 1/3 of a tire.
By a third of a tire, the 1990 Paris Roubaix champion is decided.
Belgium's Eddie Plankert continuing his country's domination of this event. After 165 miles, the winning margin smaller than the crack between two cobblestones.